Flosstube friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Chris. Today is Friday, July 28th, 2023, and I am here with my month-end wrap-up to share my stitching with you. So we're going to talk about quite a few whips. July is my birthday month, and I changed up my rotation a little bit this month and decided to celebrate my love of horses and work on all of my horse whips this month. So I have quite a few whips to share with you today. I actually have a finish and a full finish to share with you today, and I have some haul. What I'm not going to be doing today is what I've been sewing or fun finds on Instagram. I want to try and keep the video short just because I have so many whips to share. I think it's going to take a little bit longer. I do have a few things to share and haul. And yeah, my life's gotten a little bit busy lately, which I'll share a little bit later in plans. So I've decided for this month I'm going to leave those segments out, but they'll be back again next time, so don't worry about that. So let's jump in with my whips. So I did still work on my temperature cell that I've been doing all year. This is the Small Hearts Yearly Temperature Cell by Apricot Polka Dot. And I'm doing this on a 32 count antique white linen with DMC, mostly the called for DMC, but I did tweak the colors a little bit just to get maybe a little bit more of a blend, which I enjoy. So I do need to catch up a little bit on this. I am a little bit behind, but that's where we are as we've headed into summer. You can see there's a lot more orange and red. We've had 3 birthdays since I started this, and I don't know if you can see. You can see the little bit of glitter in this. So I've added a blending filament on the birthdays. I still wanted to do the color. Like some people will just stitch them in a silver or gold, but I wanted them to still reflect the temperature of the day. So, and then you can see, pardon me, there's another one down here as well, and you can't really tell, but this second yellow one, my oldest daughter and our birthdays are just 2 days apart. Mine's on the 10th, hers is on the 12th. So yeah, I don't know if you can see those. It is a bit overcast today, so I apologize if the lighting's not ideal, but there is my temperature cell, and that's where we're at. Okay, on to the horses. So these are in no particular order. So this one was actually a new start. I had mentioned last month I was going to be starting it. This is the little Janlynn kit that I had purchased off of a D-Stash site. It's called Forever Wild. Just this really nice photo, or not photo, just this nice picture of a couple of wild horses galloping through the long grass and the clouds behind them in the shape of a horse. I just thought it was a really nice image. So I just got started on this. I was at a stitch day at the Peel Stitch In a couple weekends ago. Had a great time meeting up with a bunch of my stitchy friends and meeting some new stitchy friends, and just, yeah, really enjoyed it. It was a great venue and a great day, and several of us went for supper afterwards, and yeah. So I started this at the retreat, and then I did a little bit more, I think, when I got home. So that is where that one is. So that was a new start. Another one I worked on is a pattern by the name of Hard Frost. It's based on the artwork of John Clayton. This really fun image. So that's what it will look like when it is finished. I did start this, I guess this was like my New Year's Eve, New Year start on December 31st of 2022. I'm stitching on the kit fabric, which is a 27 count white Zweigart with the called for DMC, which came in the kit. And that is all I have. So I've just started at the side because I tend to like to work in columns when I'm doing full coverage loose columns, because if the stitches you can see carry on into the next column, I just keep stitching until they end. But that is where that one's at. It's a fairly pixelated image, so it's going to be interesting to see how it looks when I'm finished. I'm just working over on this section here, so it is just kind of the branches of the tree, so we'll see. So that is hard frost. The next one is another kit. It's a kit by Merejka called Horses. It'll look like this when it's finished. I'm stitching this on the kit fabric with it, which is a 16 count cream Zweigart Ada with all of the kit threads, which I believe are DMC threads. I do apologize, this one missed the ironing, so it's a bit wrinkly, but that's where I am at. And I just remembered that I hadn't mentioned about putting in photos of where projects were before. So hopefully when I'm editing, I'll tuck those in so you can see a comparison, but I'll start trying to remember to do it. Because yeah, I think what I was trying to do before was put what I've stitched there and then put the last time you saw it picture over my face so you can see a direct comparison of how much I've done. So yeah, I really enjoyed stitching on that one this month. I haven't stitched on it for a while, and I feel like I got quite a bit done on the dandelions there. I really like their kits, the Merejka kits. They have nice big charts, and they have a separate chart with the back stitching, so it doesn't confuse the symbols, so it makes it really easy to tell what you're stitching. So that was Horses. I also worked on an oldie called Spray Paint. I'll put a photo of what it will look like when it's done here. And this is an Artisy pattern. It started by Artisy. It's based on the artwork of CJ Lotta. I'm doing it on an 18 count Ada that I dyed just because I wanted it to be darker. I didn't want it to be a white background because there's a lot of dark colors in the picture. So yeah, I'll put the photo of where it was the last time you saw it here. And here's where it's at now. So I didn't do a tremendous amount. Some of these I did only work on 1 day. Some I worked on 3 days. It kind of just depended on what mood I was in and what I felt like doing. So I've just done that little bit down that column you can see down at the bottom on the left-hand side. A little strip. So maybe, I don't know, 200 stitches. But yeah, so that's where that one's at. Okay, next one I worked on. Victoria Sampler, Jingle Bell Christmas Tree Farm. Technically, you might not think of this as a horse pattern, but it has a horse in it, so I thought it qualified, and I wanted to put it in the mix because I haven't stitched on it for quite a while. So I'm doing this on a 28 count Smoky Pearls Zweigart linen, which is the called for linen. It looks much lighter gray in the photo. I don't have a before picture of this one, so this is just where it's at now. In this light, it looks lighter than it is. It's more of a darker, almost a khaki gray, like there's almost a bit of a green tint to it. But so this is the first band that I'm working on. So this is a fun project for me because I get to play with some silks. I've never stitched with silk before, so my favorite so far is the Gloriana silks. That's the gold color in the windows. The snow is actually all done in a white silk. I think it's a Krynic Mori, maybe. I'm not enjoying that one quite as much. It seems fuzzier, even though I'm using shorter lengths. But yeah, so there's a little squirrel there and a little bunny. And this has like a lot of specialty stitches, which again, I'm looking forward to doing that, you know, getting the back stitch in there to do the trees and stuff. There's some over one, these little chickadees here over one. But yeah, I think it's gonna be really fun. And there's some beads in there as well. It's a little bit of a daunting project, but I tend to just take one step at a time. So the like the instructions are like pages long. So, you know, it says, number 1, log cabin in the woods. Using 2 strands of floss, cross-stitch the log cabin, the trees, the bunny, the squirrel, the cardinals, the birdhouse. So I'm just following each step as it tells me, and I'm going to try not to worry about all the other steps until I get to them, kind of thing. But yeah, so that's fun, and I'm looking forward to watching that come together with all those pretty flosses. So the other one that I worked on that I haven't worked on for a while was White Horse, which will look like this when it's finished. This is a pattern I purchased off of Etsy from a designer or a shop called Ava's Design BG. I'm stitching it on an 18 count Aida with a called for DMC. And again, I didn't get a tremendous amount done. I think I just worked on this for like a day and a half. Put this here. And then I'll put the before. I'll figure this out someday. But I'll put where it was the last time you saw it. So again, I've only done that little column over there on the left-hand side. Down the side. I'm starting to find, yes, I don't like having all of these part threads everywhere when I'm working. So what I've started doing my full coverages, I think because Pattern Keeper makes it really easy to do that, is I think I want to just work all the way down a column. So the only place I'm parking threads is in that particular column, and then I'll go to the next column and go all the way down. And again, I do a loose column. If stitches carry on into the next column, I carry on over there. So far that's worked fairly well for me, and I haven't had any column lines, but we'll see. If I start finding that's happening, then I might have to change up what I'm doing. But yeah, so that's White Horse. That's where he is. This is a big pattern. So it's gonna take a little while, but all in good time, one stitch at a time. All right, a couple more that I worked on this month. Of course, I had to work on Behind the Bit. Here's what it'll look like when he's done. This is my large focus project. I'll put in a photo of where he was the last time you saw him. And here he is now. So I've just put in another column. And again, that's 2 pages, like stacked on top of each other. So I've just been following the column all the way down. Yeah. That's where he is now. And yeah, I did only work on him for about maybe 2 or 3 days at the beginning of the month and completed that column and then moved on to other things, and then I've never gone back to him. So I'm kind of looking forward in August to focus on him some more, because I really want to get it done. I really want to get him done. He's just been in the mix for so long, and he deserves to be finished and framed and hanging on my wall. So soon, hopefully soon. Oh, and I should mention, Behind the Bit is a pattern by White Willow Stitching, and I'm stitching him on an 18 count oatmeal Aida with the called for DMC. When I started the year, he was about 57% complete, and I think he's over 75 now. So we're getting there. So the final one that is still a whip that I worked on was my birthday start, which was my new kit gifted to me by my good friend Dina. Thank you so much, Dina. This is so beautiful. So this is Thunder Ridge. It's an out of print, hard to get, Dimensions Gold kit. I did work on this one for a few days. I'm working it in the 18 count navy Aida that came in the kit with the kit threads. And this is where I'm at. So this is a full coverage, and I did start up here in the top left corner and kind of work down in that first column. And basically I would just take like the first color and stitch it in that general area into other areas till I finished the thread, and then I'd find the next color in that column and stitch it. And I kind of worked my way all the way down that column, and then I went back up to the top in the second column and picked up colors that weren't stitched yet and did the same thing. But when I got down to about here somewhere, I realized I had missed a complete row over here. And I had done down farther, like I had done the grass all the way down to the bottom below that buckskin horse. So I had stitched all the way down to here, and I'd done a fair bit of the black down here when I realized that was a mistake. And yes, I could have tried to fudge it, but I was worried it would distort this horizon line. And it just seemed like such a special, rare project that I wanted to make sure I was doing it the way it was intended to be done. So I did take out those stitches, and I did decide to stitch the rump of that buckskin because I wanted to make sure that I had things lined up and that the horses were going to be in the right place. So everything is where it should be now, and I can carry on the next time I pick this up. But it is just so pretty. Just the color of that horse next to that dark background. It's just going to be so amazing when I get more stitches in it. So I'm looking forward to working on that again in the future. So those are all of the whips that I worked on this month. I do have a finish and a full finish I'm going to share in a minute, but I did just want to say that I did discover something doing this month that as much fun as it was to pull out those whips that I haven't seen in a while and put a few stitches in them and work on them, I think my mindset has really changed now that I'm doing these sort of focus projects every month, because I really am focused on finishes. So sometimes just spending a day and putting 200, 300, 500, whatever stitches in a project almost feels like, well, but I could be spending that time on the one that, you know, I'm getting closer to a finish on and finish it up. And yeah, I think too, even trying to get into the groove, you know, with a new pattern each time, you know, because some are full coverage, some aren't full coverage, some of them I stitched one way, some I stitched another way. You know, you get familiar with symbols, and so then you have to sort of learn what colors are which symbols as you pick up something new again. And I just found all of that wasn't as relaxing and enjoyable as it is being sort of semi-monogamous, I guess, on 4 projects kind of thing. So I am really looking forward to going back to focusing on projects and focusing on finishes, because I did have a couple this month. And again, it just, for me personally, I know it's different for everybody. I think I really am a progress stitcher. I like to make progress. I like to finish. I like to fully finish projects. That fulfills me. That makes me feel complete. So yeah, so as much fun as it was stitching on all my horses, I'm really looking forward to all of those someday being my focus piece, where I can really focus in and make some significant progress and see them progress. So let's look at my finish, not a full finish, but that is my dimension stocking, a gift for all. That's what it will look like. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. That's what it'll look like when it's a stocking. Mine's not a stocking yet. I am going to put a picture in here of where I was the last time. So basically the last time I had completed all of the stitching, but I hadn't done any back stitching or any French knots or anything like that. So all of that is now completed. So this is an out of print dimensions stocking. The artwork is based on the artwork of Donna Race. I did it on the kit Ada, which is a 14 count Ada with the kit threads. And here is what it looks like. It's so pretty. There's so many details in here. So like Santa's coat has those backstitch little asterisks or stars on them. You know, on the wreath and on the greenery in the basket, there's these giant French knots. I think he used 5 strands of thread. There's little French knots down here that are like the seeds that the cardinals are eating. And then of course there's French knots to add to the snowflakes, which again, I just think Dimensions is genius in the way they do their patterns, because when I stitched all this blue background, there was the odd spot like this that you didn't stitch. It was just left blank, and you see the white Ada through, and I'm like going, that's weird. But as you do it, you go, oh, okay, I see. It's supposed to look like snowflakes. So then when they tell you to do the white French knots, it's kind of like, well, there's already snowflakes, but it adds dimension. You know, these ones are receded, these ones pop out, so it makes them look like closer and farther away. It's, I don't know, I just think it's pretty amazing what they do. And then I had to do some cording. That's the first time I've done that. So this rain, I had to cord that brown floss, and then I had to couch it on there so that it sort of hung like a rain would. And then of course you've probably already seen, there's all of this gold braid. So again, I had to, you had the gold floss, and I had to make cording with the gold floss, and then I had to couch it on. So it's all down the edge of his coat, around the pocket, around his sleeve, around the horse's bridle, and down around this ribbon here. So that was a little bit intimidating. It took me a few tries to get the cording somewhat right. It still didn't look as tight as it does in the picture of their finished product, but I still think it looks pretty good. So, and then yeah, of course, just the back stitching to find, you know, Santa's face and his eye and the horse's eye. Even the horse's eye, there's a French knot in that eye, and when I was back stitching, I'm like going, that eye looks great. Why do they want you to put a French knot in there? And I thought, well, I'll try it and see. And I put it in and I'm going, oh, okay, I see why. It's like a highlight in the horse's eye. So yeah. So that is my stocking. So it's gonna wait with my other one that I've finished until I have one more that, and then I will fully finish them all together when I sort of come up with how I want to do that. Then I can just assembly line them and do them all the same. So my other finish that I had was my pattern called Stallion. Here's what it looks like. This is also a pattern I got from Etsy from a designer called Anna Duplant. I've done it on an 18 count oatmeal Ada with all of the called for DMC. And this is the one that I actually color completed. I've never done that with a pattern before, but when I received the PDF, the designer did do that. She gave you the chart with all the symbols on it, but she also gave you a single chart for each color. And so that's what sparked the idea to maybe try color completing and seeing what that was like. And it was interesting. You know, it was a lot of fun, but for me, it wasn't the most relaxing way to stitch because there was so much counting, double counting, triple counting involved to try and make sure you're putting stitches where they needed to be, because I didn't have reference points, because the charts were basically just, you know, a grid with black squares where each of that color went, but there's no symbols around them. So, and unfortunately it didn't work in Pattern Keeper, or it would have been easier probably to do that. But the real fun part came as you got closer to a finish and were able to start to fill in areas and see things sort of come together and how the different colors made the different shading and highlights. And even until the very last color went in, I'm still like going, I don't think it's going to look as good as the picture. I don't know why, and I put that final color in and went, oh, okay, yeah, it looks like the picture. So putting those final colors in was fun, and I can see why people like color completing. But I don't know that I'm going to rush to do that again. Now, Anna does have another pattern on her Etsy shop that I kind of like, that I might consider purchasing in the future, and I might try it again. I might try color completing again after I have a little break from this one. But yeah, so it was interesting. It was fun. And yeah, seeing it come together at the end was pretty cool. So before I share it too, there were a few firsts on this for me. I did find, because I was color completing, and it's harder to keep your tension even when you're putting like a stitch here and a stitch over here, and I am carrying threads over certain distances type of thing. or eventually you're like jamming a little stitch in one spot. So I think your stitches can get crowded. I tried really hard not to split any threads when I was coming up, but the work looked fairly uneven. So I decided this would be a good piece to try washing my cross stitch, because I've never done that before, and I've heard people say that it does tend to like plump up your stitches. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try that. So that was a first, and that went well, and it did smooth it out to some degree. I think there's still a little bit of unevenness in the tension, but not enough to be a worry, and probably not something anybody else would maybe notice except an experienced cross stitcher looking closely at it. It was also another first because I did decide to lace this one. So let me show it to you, and then I can tell you a little bit more about that. Are you ready? There he is. So after I finished them and measured them, because I knew I was going into town, I wanted to look for something to use to finish it on, fully finish it on. Of course, the size is not a fit for a standard frame. So I was looking around, I was in Walmart looking, because they have a lot of like wood pieces in their craft section that I thought, well, you know, I could paint that and mount this on mat board and put fabric behind it and blah, 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 blah. But I just wasn't finding something that I thought would really work. And then I saw this frame in the frame section, and I just loved it. You know, it looks like barn wood. The color kind of ties in with the colors in the piece. And I really wanted to use it, but so I decided to buy the frame, and then I thought I'll figure it out when I get home. So I was still thinking about just matting the piece right up to the stitching on mat board and setting it in here, and maybe put some fabric or scrapbook paper behind it to cover, you know, to fill in this light area around it. But it still kind of bothered me because it's not the same dimensions for a rectangle as the opening in the frame. So then I got thinking, well, if I moved it up and kind of kept the same border on either side and the top, and then I'd have a little bit extra down here, that would leave me room if I wanted to put a little quote. So that is what I did. And then, yeah, I had some mat board that was 8 by 10, so it fit perfectly in this frame. So I thought, well, here's a good opportunity. Again, it's not too big of a piece. I will just try lacing it on that mat board, and that would allow me some wiggle room to try and get these edges somewhat even, which was a challenge because, again, I stitch in hand, so this was a little bit distorted. So that was the other thing. When I washed it and I was ironing it dry, I did start trying to manipulate. I didn't technically block it, like I didn't use pins and square it up, you know, on a board or on my ironing board or anything. I just used my hands to kind of not stretch, but just put some tension to even out those edges, and it actually worked really well. So again, they're not perfect, but I'm surprised at how straight I was able to get them. And by lacing it, it allowed me to move it as I needed to get it in exactly the right spot. So when I popped it in the frame, I have pretty similar dimensions on the sides and the top, and the quote down the bottom. So I don't know if you can read that quote. It's a quote I'd seen before, and I just always really liked it, but it says, 2 feet move my body, 4 feet move my soul. Oh yeah. So there it is, stallion. Finished. Gonna hang them on my wall. Yeah. Yay. Ding, 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 ding. Excuse me just a minute. Okay. Yes, Ollie, it's almost time to go outside. He's ready for his lunchtime play. So, I do have a little bit of haul that I thought I would share with you since the last time that I saw you. Excuse me. I'm not going to take things out of packaging, so you have to be okay with there being a little bit of glare. So this was a gift from my friend Barb. Silver Creek Samplers, planting daisies. Thank you, Barb. So it says, you planted daisies in my heart that bloom and grow each day. Indeed, I see your love for me inside their sweet bouquet. So pretty. And then I got a few charts off of the D-Stash because I can't seem to stay away. So this is Little House Needleworks, The Gathering Room. I hadn't seen this one before. Now, what I thought I was going to maybe do is this spring, if you saw some of my earlier videos, we did have baby bunnies in our yard, and we had a lot of baby robins. We saw a lot of fledgling robins, and the parents, you know, feeding them and encouraged them to fly, etc., etc. So my thought was I might stitch this. I'm not sure if I'll stitch the words or not. I may or may not. And I might change these sheep to some bunnies and change these blackbirds to robins, just as a memento for this fun spring that we had with all those great critters. I also got this one, which is Little House Needleworks Morning Berries. It says, the dew upon the berry reflects the morning sun. It glistens like a diamond until the rabbits come. So again, because we had all of these bunnies in our yard, I felt like I really wanted to stitch that one. And then I'd seen this one, and I liked it. I like the colors, I like the bird, the plants. Blossoms, blackbirds. Now again, I may change that and turn it into a robin, I'm not sure. Not that I have anything against blackbirds. Then I did get this cricket collection. So this is sugar cookies. So I've seen a number of people stitch this, and I've always liked it. So it came up, and somebody was offering it up for sale. So I decided that I might just add that to my collection to be stitched someday. And that same person had this one, which the sole reason I got it was for this little bird on the egg, because I just thought that little bird was so cute. And it was interesting because I double checked with the seller that actually was one of the Ollie's sniffing things. Ollie, please stop. You're gonna knock them down, buddy. And she said that's why she purchased it too, because she wanted to stitch that little bird. So, and then I managed to get a few more dimensions kits, because apparently I can't stop myself. So I had heard about somebody that was destashing a bunch of their old dimensions kits. And so I reached out to them to see what they had to offer, and they didn't have any of the ones I was looking for, but they had some I didn't know I was looking for, but that maybe I needed. So the first one, I had seen this a few times on the secondary market, on eBay and D-Stash sites, this gold nugget, Noel Santa, and I really like that art style and the color palette, and yeah, like it comes with the fabric to do the border around it. There's a few beads you can see in there as well. So I just really like that Santa. And it has a companion piece, so I decided to get it as well, this Peace Angel. Two of them the same style, the same color palette. So those will be a new start. I'm thinking maybe I might have to do some more cording. I think I'm gonna get myself the Krynic quarter before that time comes. And of course I had to get another horse one. This is Galloping Horses. Again, a tough one to find places. looks like it's got some blending filament, I imagine probably in the water. So that will be really cool. And then my last one is one that I've wanted for a really long time that I found on eBay. My husband bought it for me for my birthday. I actually reached out to the seller because a lot of people sell these out of print dimensions kits for high prices. Their prices actually weren't bad, but it was still a little bit more than I wanted to pay, and I reached out and asked if she would be willing to take less. I gave her a number and she said, yeah, you know, I'm happy. It's going to go to somebody that is excited to stitch it. So I thought that was sweet. And it's this one, Horses by a Stream. And again, I just love this artwork. So that will be a start of my near future. Maybe when I finish Thunder Ridge, I'll start this one. Or maybe I'll start it sooner. Who knows? So many things, so many things. So that is my haul. So let's talk about plans, and then we'll be done for the day. So I'm looking forward to going back to a rotation in August, but I'm going to switch it just slightly. I do have a lot of large projects, and I may have purchased a few more large projects that I want to get through. And I'm feeling like what I'm doing right now is I'm zipping through smalls and mediums. You know, medium larges are going okay, and then the larges obviously take the longest to do. So I've decided to put my mediums and smalls together. So I'm going to merge that category together and call them smalls. My medium larges will just become mediums, and then my larges will stay large. And my 4-week rotation now will be like large, small, large, medium. And that way my large projects get 2 weeks every month instead of 1. So hopefully I can make some more balanced progress on those. Right now, I'm just going to work on behind the bit for those 2 weeks every month. Once I get behind the bit finished, I'll decide whether I keep working on the same large project both weeks of the month, or if I'll work on 2 large projects, 1 each week. I think I just want to see if I find working on that same project 2 weeks a month, if I start to get, you know, tired of it, or just rotating through 3 projects if I get tired of them. Now, I'm still gonna, on Sundays, I'm gonna do my temperature chart, and I'm gonna do a random spin of my wheel and work on just one of my other whips just for that day, just for something different to do. But that's kind of my thought moving forward. All that being said, I am not going to be filming a video in August. I've had a couple of large custom orders come in through my Etsy shop, and I have a retreat in September that I want to create some inventory to have to put up to sell at the retreat. So I'm spending a lot of time in my sewing room these days. So I'm going to take a break from filming in August, but I will be back in September, and I can show you hopefully lots of progress on what I've been working on after the 2 months, and my other segments will hopefully be back in that video that I do in September. Okay, so I think that is everything I want to share with you today. If you have any questions about anything, if I've neglected to mention something that I should have mentioned, just leave me a comment down below. But otherwise, thank you everybody for stopping by to hang out with me and let me share my stitching with you. I appreciate each and every one of you. New subscribers, people that have been with me from the beginning, people that have become good friends. I thank you and I appreciate each and every one. So until next time, bye.